a Fever takeover at the top of the ballot. When the WNBA released the second round of fan voting returns for the 2026 AT&T WNBA All-Star Game, presented by Aliyah, the league's most closely watched storyline was not a single superstar pulling away from the pack. It was a franchise. The Indiana Fever, buoyed by a passionate and mobilized fan base, produced a stunning 1-2 finish atop the leaderboard, with center Aliyah Boston and guard Caitlin Clark claiming the top 2 spots in the entire league. Teammate Kelsey Mitchell, meanwhile, cemented her own place among the top 10 vote-getters, giving Indiana 3 players inside the league's most exclusive fan voting circle. The results, announced in late June, represent one of the more dramatic shifts of the young voting period and have reignited conversation about just how much pull the Fever now carry across the WNBA landscape. Boston finished the second returns with 683,996 votes, while Clark followed closely behind with 670,510. Mitchell rounded out Indiana's showing in 9th place with 434,471 votes. It was, by any measure, a remarkable display of fan enthusiasm for a single roster, and it has scrambled expectations for who will ultimately start when the All-Star Game tips off on July 25th at Chicago's United Center, broadcast nationally on ABC, for a league that has seen its visibility and commercial reach grow at an extraordinary pace. Over the past 2 seasons, this particular voting update offered a vivid illustration of how quickly the balance of popularity can shift. Just 1 round earlier, Boston and Clark were not even the top 2 names on the ballot. The scale of the movement is what makes this story worth dwelling on. In the first returns of All-Star voting, released roughly a week prior, Boston sat in 3rd place with 282,186 votes, while Clark was 5th with 253,602. At that stage, Las Vegas Aces superstar A'ja Wilson and Dallas Wings guard Paige Bueckers held the top 2 positions, a result that seemed to align with expectations given Wilson's status as a 4-time MVP and Bueckers' rising national profile. Then came the second returns, and the ballot was turned on its head. Boston surged from 3rd to 1st, more than doubling her vote total. Clark climbed from 5th to 2nd, also seeing her numbers swell dramatically. The jump was significant enough that it appeared to reflect a coordinated and highly engaged fan push, one that Fever General Manager Amber Cox reportedly welcomed with enthusiasm. Indiana's front office has been vocal about campaigning for all 3 of its top performers, Boston, Clark, and Mitchell, to be recognized when the All-Star rosters are finalized, and the second-round numbers suggest that effort is resonating. It's worth noting that fan voting does not operate in isolation. Under the WNBA system, fans account for 50% of the overall vote, while a panel of current players and a media panel each contribute 25%. Players are ultimately ranked separately by position, guards and front court players, within each of the 3 voting blocks, and a player's final standing is determined by averaging their weighted rank across all 3 groups. This means that while fan enthusiasm is the single largest input, it does not by itself guarantee a starting nod. The player and media segments could either reinforce the Fever Trio's standing or introduce a different order once final tallies are combined. Even so, leading the single largest voting block by a wide margin is a strong indicator of how a player is likely to fare across the board, and it places Boston and Clark in a commanding position heading into the final stretch. According to WNBA rules, the top 4 guards and top 6 front court players in the combined final voting results will be named starters for the All-Star Game. With Boston occupying front court territory and Clark and Mitchell both competing in the guard category, Indiana's trio is positioned to make a serious push for multiple starting assignments, a scenario that would have seemed ambitious at the start of the season, given the level of competition across the league. Boston's rise to the top spot in fan voting arrives during a season many around the league consider her best yet. The 2025 All-WNBA team selection is putting up 16.6 points per game, a career high, while also contributing 8.6 rebounds and 2.8 assists per contest. She currently ranks 9th in the WNBA in rebounding, a testament to her continued growth as an interior force who can both score efficiently in the post and facilitate offense for her teammates. What stands out about Boston's resume this season is not simply the counting stats, but the consistency behind them. She has now been to the All-Star Game in each of her first 3 professional seasons, a streak that speaks to her standing as one of the more reliable front-court performers in the league since entering as the #1 overall pick. Her scoring average, while placing her 16th in the league, overall understates her value. Boston has become the connective tissue in Indiana's front-court rotation, someone capable of anchoring the paint on both ends of the floor while also stretching her game to fit alongside a dynamic backcourt. Leading the entire league in fan voting is a new experience for Boston, who has typically been recognized as an all-star, but not necessarily as the most voted player in the sport. That she has now claimed the top spot ahead of players like Wilson, Buckers, and Breanna Stewart, all established former MVPs or perennial all-stars, signals a meaningful shift in how fans perceive her value, and it reflects the broader surge in attention the Fever have received this season. Virging, Caitlin Clark's turnaround season. If Boston's story is one of steady, continued excellence, Clark's is one of a dramatic in-season transformation. The 2-time All-Star and 2024 Rookie of the Year opened this WNBA season more slowly than many anticipated, a fact that drew scrutiny given the outsized expectations that have followed her since her record-breaking collegiate career. But as the season has progressed, Clark has rounded into arguably the best form of her young professional career. She now averages 21.3 points per game, a career high, and ranks 3rd in the league in scoring. Her efficiency has improved markedly as well, with a career-high field goal percentage of .426, indicating a more polished and controlled scoring approach compared to her rookie campaign. Perhaps most notably, Clark remains one of the league's premier playmakers, ranking 2nd overall with 8.2 assists per game, trailing only a small handful of the game's elite facilitators. The combination of elite scoring and elite distribution is a rare package in the WNBA, and it helps explain why Clark's vote total surged so sharply between the first and second rounds of balloting. Fans who may have been waiting to see how her sophomore season would unfold now have a clear answer. Clark has developed into a more complete offensive weapon, one capable of controlling a game from multiple angles rather than relying purely on perimeter scoring. Clark's climb from 5th to 2nd in the fan vote also underscores something the league has understood since her arrival. Her ability to move the needle in terms of attention and engagement is virtually unmatched in the modern WNBA. But this latest voting update suggests her on-court performance is now matching and in some ways justifying that attention in a way that could make the debate about her all-star inclusion feel almost moot by the time final rosters are announced. While Boston and Clark have captured most of the headlines from the second-round voting results, Kelsey Mitchell's presence in the top 10 deserves equal attention. The 3-time All-Star is averaging 20.9 points per game this season, the 4th highest mark in the entire WNBA, and only narrowly behind Clark's 3rd-place figure. Mitchell has long been one of the league's most efficient and dependable scorers, a player capable of erupting for big offensive nights while also providing steady veteran leadership on a roster that includes 2 of the league's most scrutinized young stars. Mitchell's 9th place, standing in the fan vote, with 434,471 votes, places her just outside the group of players who received more than 500,000 votes, a tier that currently includes only Boston, Clark, Wilson, Buchers, and Stewart. Still, being ranked among the top 10 vote-getters in a league as competitive and deep as today's WNBA is no small feat, particularly for a guard who often plays a complementary role to Clark in Indiana's backcourt. Her continued production has been essential to the Fever's success this season, and her name being included in the same breath as Boston and Clark, both in terms of fan voting and all-star consideration, reflects just how much she has meant to the team's identity. If the trio can secure spots on the final roster together, it would mark the second consecutive year that Clark, Boston, and Mitchell have all represented Indiana at the All-Star Game, following their shared appearance in the 2025 event. Indiana's influence on the second round of voting extends beyond its three headline players. Guard Sophie Cunningham checked in at 15th overall with 237,526 votes, while Lexi Hull sat 20th with 166,610. Having 5 players inside the top 20 of a single voting round is an unusual accomplishment for any franchise, and it illustrates the depth of attention the Fever have generated this season, both from a performance standpoint and from the broader cultural moment surrounding the team. The Fever entered this stretch of the season with a 10-7 record, positioning them as one of the more competitive teams in the league, a marked departure from the struggles that defined earlier eras of the franchise. That improved on-court product, paired with the star power of Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, has translated into consistent national attention, sold-out arenas on the road, and now a dominant showing in fan balloting. While the Fever's showing has understandably dominated headlines, the players trailing Boston and Clark in the second-round returns represent a formidable group in their own right. Aliyah Wilson of the Las Vegas Aces sits third overall with 659,057 votes. The 4-time MVP and 7-time All-Star continues to lead the league in scoring at 25.1 points per game, along with a league-best 2.1 blocks per game, numbers that make clear she remains the WNBA's most dominant two-way force, even as she has slipped from the top spot in fan voting. Paige Buchers of the Dallas Wings follows in fourth with 640,026 votes. The reigning Rookie of the Year has continued to build on her breakout debut season, currently averaging 19.3 points and 6.1 assists per game. Breanna Stewart of the New York Liberty rounds out the group of players with more than 500,000 votes, sitting fifth with 566,161. The 2-time MVP is averaging 19.4 points and 8.8 rebounds per game, numbers that reflect her continued standing as one of the most complete players in the sport. The remainder of the top 10 includes a mix of established stars and breakout performers. Jessica Shepard of the Dallas Wings, the league's current leader in triple-doubles this season, sits 7th with 477,066 votes, posting career-high averages of 14.2 points and 11.1 rebounds per game. Angel Reese of the Atlanta Dream follows closely, leading the WNBA in rebounding at 11.8 per game while also drawing significant fan support. Gabby Williams of the Golden State Valkyries, a 2025 All-Star, has posted a career-high 15.9 points per game for the expansion franchise, while Minnesota Lynx rookie Olivia Miles, the second overall pick in this year's draft, rounds out the top 10 with strong scoring numbers of her own at 18.5 points per game. Taken together, the top 10 paints a picture of a league bursting with compelling storylines, from established champions defending their standing to rookies making immediate impacts, to a Fever roster that has managed to capture the imagination of fans across the sport. With the second round of fan voting complete, Attention now turns to how the final All-Star rosters will be assembled. As previously outlined, the ultimate results will combine fan voting, player voting, and media voting in equal weighted measure, with the top 4 guards and top 6 front court players earning starting positions. This structure means that while the Fever's fan voting dominance is a strong signal, it is not the final word. Players around the league will have their own say in who they believe deserves recognition, as will a panel of media members who cover the sport closely throughout the season. Historically, fan voting leaders have gone on to secure starting roles in the vast majority of cases, particularly when their vote totals are as commanding as those posted by Boston and Clark. Still, the presence of players like Wilson, a 4-time MVP with wide respect among her peers, means the guard and front court races remain competitive heading into the final tally. Beyond the starters, the league will also need to determine its reserves, along with the game's broader format for this milestone season. As part of the WNBA's 30th anniversary celebrations, this year's All-Star Game will feature a twist on the traditional format. 2 league legends will serve as honorary general managers, drafting their respective rosters from a pool of 22 All-Stars once fan, player, and media voting is finalized. This approach adds an additional layer of intrigue to a game that already carries heightened significance given the league's milestone anniversary. The head coaching assignments will follow a separate process, with the 2 teams boasting the best records following games on Friday, July 10th, earning the right to lead their respective squads, regardless of conference affiliation. That detail adds another subplot for fans to track over the coming weeks, particularly for a Fever team currently positioned well above .500 and squarely in playoff contention. Fans were able to continue submitting ballots through the league's newly introduced WNBA ID program, a free global membership initiative that allows 1 secure ballot per day throughout the 17-day voting window, either through WNBA.com or the league's mobile application. The system also allows fans to reuse previously submitted ballots, streamlining the process of supporting favorite players across multiple voting days. Given the scale of the surge Boston and Clark experienced between the first and second rounds, it remains to be seen whether their leads will hold, grow, or face a late challenge from players like Wilson or Buchers as the window closes. What is clear, however, is that the Fever's ability to generate this level of engagement across 3 different players simultaneously reflects a broader trend, reshaping the WNBA's popularity landscape. Attendance figures, television ratings, and merchandise sales have all pointed toward a league experiencing unprecedented growth, and the All-Star voting results serve as one more data point in that ongoing story. Ultimately, the second round of All-Star voting returns tells a story larger than any single player or franchise. It captures a WNBA in the midst of a genuine cultural moment, one where a single team can produce 3 of the 10 most popular players in the sport, where a reigning MVP can find herself pushed to 3rd in fan balloting despite an extraordinary individual season, and where the league's broadcast partners are eager to showcase the resulting spectacle on national television. For Boston, the top spot represents validation of a breakout, career best campaign built on efficiency, rebounding, and consistency. For Clark, the climb from 5th to 2nd reflects a player who has answered questions about her sophomore season form with career highs across nearly every major statistical category. And for Mitchell, a top 10 finish reaffirms her standing as one of the league's most dependable veteran scorers, even as she often operates in the shadow of her more publicized teammates. As the voting window winds down and the league moves toward finalizing rosters, all eyes will remain on Indiana, Should Boston, Clark, and Mitchell all secure spots on the final All-Star roster, they would give the Fever franchise its second consecutive year with 3 All-Star representatives, a remarkable achievement for a team that has transformed itself from a rebuilding project into one of the league's most talked-about rosters in a remarkably short span of time. Whatever the final tally reveals when starters and reserves are announced in the coming weeks, the second round of fan voting has already delivered its verdict on one point beyond dispute. The Indiana Fever and the players who wear its jersey have become one of the defining forces shaping the WNBA's 2026 season.